What's up, guys? I'm back with another video, and today we are going to be talking about a heavy hitter. We're going to be talking about marijuana, the use of it, and why I feel like weed is keeping you stuck. All right, this is something that I was going through. This is something that I was battling with. This is something that I've overcame. Um, Many different times, but I finally got to a point where I just don't need it anymore. I don't want it in my life because I know what it was doing to me. So, like I said, I made this video in hopes of helping somebody else out. All right. So, before I get started out, I just want to I want to say this. Weed makes you feel okay with being bored. It makes you okay with doing nothing. It makes you okay with staying exactly where you are. That's why you're watching this video now. And we got to understand that this is the real danger, guys, because the scariest thing in life isn't pain, it's comfort without progress. Now, this video isn't about demonizing weed. It's simply about honesty. For some people, it might be occasional. For others, it quietly becomes a lifestyle. And the problem isn't the plant, because we know that weed has some benefits to it. The problem is the pattern, and that's what's keeping you stuck. So let's jump straight into this and let's dissect this, okay? Now, let's talk about why people start. You know, a lot of people start to relax. Some people start to escape stress. Some people start to sleep better, feel less anxious, or turn the noise off, right? This is just one of those social things that it makes it easy, it makes it fun, all these things that you're dealing with, weed kind of helps that. Now, I actually started when I was 15, 16 years old. Not because of these things right here that you see on the screen, but because, I was around some friends. They were doing it, so I tried it, right? But I didn't know that it was going to take control of my life, right? Um, I had an issue come up in my life, and it became very, very stressful for me. So this is when I started to turn to weed. And it took me down a rabbit hole, and I've been smoking weed ever since I was 15, 16 years old. I'm 33 now, about to turn 34. So I've been doing it for a very long time, right? So I've got some experience with it. Okay. Now, while we're smoking, it's occasional at first. It's occasional at first, and it's fun, but then there's a hidden trap that we don't see. Most people don't start smoking because life is amazing, right? They just don't. And weed doesn't destroy your life overnight. It slowly makes you comfortable with mediocrity, right? You stop feeling the urgency, you stop feeling pressure, and you stop feeling hungry. And that is the danger zone. And without hunger, nothing grows. Nothing in your life is gonna grow if you're not hungry. If you're just comfortable with life and you're just smoking weed every day, danger zone. Danger zone. And you gotta pull yourself out of it. Okay? So a lot of times we don't really talk about the real effects of smoking weed. Like, yes, it's one of those social drugs that you do with people, and sometimes it's fun, especially when you're smoking with others, right? But then when you're at home alone at night by yourself, it just becomes a habit. And these are the things that help that you start doing when you're smoking. You become less motivated. You start getting a brain fog. You don't remember things as easy as you did, right? You start having lower discipline, more procrastination, less emotional resilience, and less drive to pursue goals. Now, this doesn't happen instantly, but gradually over time, right? Because, like I said, at first it's fun with your friends, and then it just becomes a habit that you're doing every single night. So you'll gradually and you'll barely notice it. But then years start to pass and you've been smoking. And that's what it was happening to me. In my teen years, and then when I went to college, and then even after that, I'm just smoking because I'm stressed, life is happening, and all these. Even though I'm a very motivated person, I still had times in my life where I felt less motivated because I was smoking weed, and I didn't really know it at the time, but that's what it was all along. And there's a lot of things that we don't understand and why quitting feels hard, right? Because weed becomes a routine with us, right? So, like I said, life starts happening, and weed is your reward after work. It's your way to relax. It's your way to sleep, and it's your way to escape boredom. And it basically fills the emotional gaps. But when you remove it, those gaps feel loud. They feel very loud because it's like you go to work, and then after you get off work, if you're not smoking weed, you're like, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? So it's that emotional gap for you. You smoke it to kill time because you're not doing anything else, right? So that leads us to the turning point, right? The only time that you're going to want to quit, and you'll quit when you realize you don't want to escape your life anymore. Anytime you are smoking constantly, you are running from something. You are running from something. And we just got to be upfront with ourselves and not be in denial. Because people say all the time, yeah, I could stop smoking anytime I want. No, you can't. Especially after you done smoked over and over for a long period of time. No, you can't. It's going to take some discipline for you to just stop. Right? So like I said, you don't want to, the turning point is when you don't want to escape your life anymore. And when you don't, and when you want to build one, you don't need to escape from. You're going to need some discipline in order to build that life that you want for yourself. Now, some people can smoke weed and get things done. A lot of people can't. I was the type of smoker when I smoked, I wanted to relax. I don't want to do anything. Or I want to kick back, watch a movie, chill, play the game. That's the type of smoker I was. Or if, I'll be out socially. But then it got to a point where it was just like, weed was just like, I get anxiety when I would smoke. Right? And then there was a shame that came upon me when I would be out or I would smoke, and then I would go out and I didn't want people to know that I was high in public. But sometimes I would smell like it. It it was a lot. It was a lot of different emotions that I was, going through. But it got to a point where I just didn't want to do that anymore. It was hindering me in so many different ways. So I wanted to build a different life for myself. And so I had to build some discipline, right? So in order to build discipline, we're going to talk about how to quit, right? Step one, change your evenings. Evenings are the danger zone, right? Because a lot of people go to work in the morning. And then when you get off work, like I said, you'll probably smoke because that's your way to relax. That's your reward after work. You didn't had a long day. You felt good about work. You about to just chill. You're gonna smoke. We got to change that up. We got to change that up. So, and here's some of the things that you can do to change that up. Start going to the gym. If you don't go to the gym, start going to the gym. Start walking. Start reading. start journaling, and go to sleep early. Now I'm gonna tell you, to be real, going to the gym, walking, that's gonna be easy. That's gonna be easy to start. Getting into the habit of that. But the hard part is gonna be the reading and journaling, because after the gym, what are you gonna do? You still got to keep yourself busy. You got to keep yourself busy. A lot of us, get to a point where we just smoking because we bored. We ain't got nothing to do. We done played all the different games. We done sat there and watched YouTube videos. And even when we watching YouTube videos, we probably smoking. So what are you going to do after the gym? You got to start reading, get you some self-help books, something to elevate your mind. And then the journaling, write down your thoughts, write down your goals. And then while you do that, about time you do all this, hey, try to go to bed early. Get you some good night's rest and wake up and do the same thing over the next day. Step 2 is remove your triggers. Out of sight, out of reach. You got to remove your stash, right? You got to remove your stash. Anything that you got in your house that reminds you of smoking, you got to remove it. Clean your space up. Change your routines. Limit the environments that revolve around smoking. This is a big one right here. You might have to cut some people off. Or not even cut them off, but you might have to just stay away from some people for a period of time, because you can't go around those friends that be smoking, because that's going to trigger you. And even when you go around them, you're going to feel like, okay, I'm being strong. And then they're going to try to pass you the blunt, and then you're going to tell them, oh yeah, I'm trying to stop smoking. Then what happens is they start questioning you. Why are you going to try to stop smoking? Right? They're asking you questions and kind of making you feel bad, right? And even if that doesn't happen, even if they're encouraging you, the smell is going to trigger you. And then somebody might be like, yo, you sure you don't want to hit this? And then you go like, oh, all right, let me hit it one more time. Let me just hit it one time. You fell into the trap. So your environment beats your willpower. You might have some strong willpower, but a lot of times it's very, very weak until you discipline yourself enough that you could be around and it's not going to affect you. So the best thing you could do is change your environment. Now, the next thing here, this is huge right here. You got to expect boredom. You are going to be bored out of your mind when you first stop smoking, because it's a natural routine that you was doing every single day. And that you have to train your brain to relearn natural dopamine, because the dopamine that you're getting from marijuana, that's not natural. That is not natural. So you got to train your brain to get some natural dopamine, and it's going to be boring. All these, the reading, the journaling, changing up your routine is going to be boring. At first, life feels dull, flat, and quiet. But that's not failure, guys. You are healing. And that is okay. Try to keep yourself busy throughout the day. Like when you start working out, this is what I do. I'm constantly learning and constantly, trying to get ahead, writing down my goals, watching videos to succeed, doing push-ups randomly throughout the day. I got a punching bag that I'll work out throughout the day. I keep myself busy throughout the day to where the time is just passing by, right? So that's something you got to do, but you got to expect boredom. It's not going to be fun all the time. Now, we got to understand that smoking is a ritual. So we have to replace this ritual. And here's some of the things that you can do. Make you some tea. Go for a nightly walk, stretching, praying, meditating, or reading before bed. Listen, I created me a routine, and I do this every single morning. When I got tired of myself, this is something that I did. And this is something that I do. I wake up in the morning, I get me some tea. Right? I make me some tea every single morning. And then I go straight into praying. Praying, talking to God. And then if I don't go into reading my Bible, I go into working out. But then the next thing is coming after that. Either or. It's going to be praying or what am I saying? Either I'm reading my Bible or I'm working out, or I'm working out, then I read my Bible. After that, I go to work, come back home, I'm working out again. It's like I just keep the same routine over and over and over. Right? I might go out, do something, keep myself busy, but you got to keep yourself busy in order to beat this. Because if you when you get bored, that's when you're gonna be like, man, I might need to smoke. I might need to smoke. So with this, we gotta understand that there is a spiritual layer. Okay? Weed quiets the noise, but it also quiets your calling. Let me say that again. Weed quiets the noise, but it also quiets the calling. So you may feel good when you're smoking, but then at the same time, it's hindering you. It's holding you back from what you really want to do. So sometimes the discomfort you're numbing is the voice pushing you toward the growth. I'll say that again. Sometimes the discomfort you're numbing is the voice pushing you toward your growth. A lot of times, we know we need to get something done. But we'll put that weed in front of us getting that done. And a lot of times that's hindering us from where we're supposed to be going. So we got to understand that, we got to make a choice. We really have to make a choice. And we got to understand that quitting weed isn't about being perfect. It's about choosing clarity over comfort, growth over escape, presence over numbness. Look, guys, you don't need to run from your life anymore. You can build one worth being fully awake for. All right? So if this helped you, please put it down in the comments. Let's talk about this. And I would love for you guys to subscribe to the channel so we can keep growing. Hit the bell notification so that anytime I drop a video, you'll be aware of it. All right. Now, another thing that you can do that will help you, it will definitely help you, is go get my book. I would have started Monday, but it never came. And basically in this book, I'm talking about all this stuff, how procrastination is killing your calling. All right. You can go get this on Amazon. This is a very helpful book, guys. I'm telling you, this will be life changing. So, like I said, if you like the video, guys, give me a thumbs up, write some stuff in the comments, and I'll see you guys on the next video.